Good Monday morning. Like, where is the road? Just finishing off my lunch. So we are headed southbound towards Kamloops on Highway 5 from Barrier to Kamloops. Loaded in Barrier. Tarp load. So much fun tarping in this mess. But I've already had to deal with a tow truck today. So last night I drove up to Kamloops here and I had a problem. All the steam was coming up from the engine. I pulled over to make sure there's nothing on fire, and my overflow cap was just steaming away steam. So I think my overflow cap is malfunctioning, and I had to put in like 2 jugs of coolant today morning. So we're gonna stop by Vernon and buy a new overflow cap and excuse me. Don't know where that came from. I was doing fine, no coughs. I'd start talking. But that's not why we called the tow truck today morning. I do have the radio on, so hopefully everybody's behaving on the radio. Where is the road here? Stay in my lane. So yeah, last night we got to a truck stop that's only like 1.5 kilometers away from where I'm delivering today morning. I'm like, I know there's 4 other Sutco trucks delivering at the same spot today morning, so I'm gonna get an early start, 6:30 in the morning. I'm up, start my pre-trip, starting up my engine, and nothing, just burp, burp, burp. Every time I turn the key, burp. It's like, what is going on here? Tried for a while, for half an hour, I tried different things. And my assumption is what everybody else has been saying is they think that my starter is going on me. Couldn't get it started, called dispatch, told them I need a service vehicle to come over. See if they can boost me just in case it's the battery. So had to wait for 1.5 hours for the tow truck to show up. And by that time I had long run out of ideas. So the tow truck showed up. He wanted to know what it was doing. I'm like, give it a try. He jumps in the truck, turns the key, and it fires right up. Nothing wrong with it. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. That definitely sounds like a starter issue. So I haven't turned the engine off since then. I'll have to turn it off along the road somewhere, and we'll see if it's a problem that comes up again. If it is, we'll have to get it into the shop and see if the starter is going on it. The starter got replaced 1.5 years ago, so if it is a starter, I'm a bit surprised. Now, having said that, our company policy is to always turn the engine off whenever we're waiting. Jump out to do a brake check, you turn the engine off. Jump out to do engine secure, you turn the engine off. So it is harder on the starters. Saves fuel, but it's harder on the starter. So could be a starter going. taking my time today. Definitely not going to do speed limit today. And I predict we're going to chain up a couple times today. My GPS says I can make it to my delivery spot tonight, but roads like this, especially coming into corners, make sure we're nice and slow through the corners. Jake brakes are off. No cruise control, no Jake brakes. Oh, I thought that truck up front was pulling this whole thing, but they've got a big engine on the back here. It's like that truck is pulling a lot of cars. Realize I still have my earbud in when I called Jess. The dispatch said they let Vernon know that I'm coming in to get a new rad reservoir cap and some more coolant. I think I'll dare to turn my engine off there because I want the engine to cool off so I can swap out the cap. I don't know how long I'll have to let it sit there to do that. Maybe I won't do that. Wait till I want to take a break anyway. Yeah, I'm soaking wet. That's probably why I'm starting to cough a bit. Jacket soaked through. I use waterproof gloves. My favorite use of gloves in the winter is I have these big plastic garden center gardening gloves. They're too big for me. But then I use those little wool, tiny little gloves that are not gloves, mitts. Gloves? Yeah, gloves. That you can buy at Walmart for $3. The little stretchy ones that I don't know where you would use them in real world. I buy those and wear those inside the garden gloves. So I've got a insulation layer and then waterproof layer so my fingers stay dry. And that works pretty good until it gets too cold and the plastic rubbery glove freezes. But at that temperature, the snow doesn't get wet, so you can use thicker work gloves and not worry about getting wet hands. So that's the three combinations I use. I have thick insulated work gloves for really cold, the garden center rubber gloves with the inside cheap liner, and then just regular work gloves. This thick layer of snow here is grippier than ice. It's just really slow going because you got to push all this snow out of the way. Got all this resistance. It can't be good fuel economy right now running on a road like this. But so far I've got grip, so let's hope I don't spin out on any of these hills. Once we're through Kamloops, I've got to do a climb there, which has a high possibility of spinning out on that one. We'll see.
South
is kind of beautiful. It looks like the sun almost wants to shine through over down that way. We'll see. When I talked to Jess, she said the roads look nasty all the way along your route. She looked at the webcams. She said the nicest part of the road is Big White. I'm like, yes. Hopefully that means I don't spin out on that hill. But she said Eholt's nasty, Paulson Pass is nasty, Rock Creek area is nasty, Falkland just up ahead out of Kamloops is nasty. So look, it looks like it's going to be this kind of day. It is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And it is stress-free for me. If you're driving in the winter and you're finding it too stressful, don't drive. A driver that is stressed out and tensed up is not a good driver. If you're going to be tense, yeah, you might get there safe, but you're going to be in so much misery, and the chance of something going wrong, and because you're so tense, you'll react incorrectly. Just not a good idea to be driving if it stresses you out. If the roads are in bad condition, just don't go drive. Wait till the next day, wait for the snow to clear, get the roads a little better, and then go for a drive. Because I've seen a couple of people that are just crawling along the road, and you can see white knuckle on. It's like, relax, relax. It's like, you gotta relax. And then there's, of course, some people that are maybe a little too relaxed and they're flying down the highway over the speed limit. So I have no idea if this is solid here or slippery. It's -1 outside, so this might be, I might have grip on this. I just don't know for sure, so I just don't want to risk it. I'll treat it as if I am driving on ice, just in case, but I may have grip here. If I was in my pickup, I would slam in the brakes and see if it gets grip, if it has grip. On a nice straightaway like this, I've sometimes warned my wife, I'm like, I'm not sure if this is slippery, I'm gonna go test it. So I guess I don't slam on the brakes. I apply brakes a bit, no slip, okay, apply more and more and more until it either starts slipping or we come to a quick deceleration, just so I know what the road conditions are when I hit that corner. Mr. Turp, you're acting a little funny back there. I'll have to do a load secure. It's not flapping in there. I think it's moved a bit. I suspected it would have. I'll just have to tighten up some of those bungees, I think. No Jake brakes, so I just have to drag the brakes a little bit. Down these little hills. Make sure she doesn't run away on me. in the day already, but I'll shoot another video on the other side of Kamloops before it gets dark. And then we'll have to call it a day. Kamloops, eastbound on Highway 1. Short little section of Trans-Canada Highway 1. It's messy here. 0 degrees. It's only 1 degree warmer than it was up that way, and the roads are gotten messy here. I'll take the messy. I was worried we would spin up this hill coming up, where we turn off onto Highway 97 towards Vernon. So one of my tarps slipped off of the edge it was kind of hanging on. I was wondering if it was going to stay on there or not, and it did not, so I had to bungee that one corner down a little tighter, and all is good. The load has been secured. Got 240 kilometers or 150 miles to go before I have to stop again. I think Vernon is before that, so I'm going to stop before that anyway. And I jump into my calculator, and every time I stop, I go on the calculator and go, okay, I have to stop at this kilometer mark. Why do I have to stop? The law requires me to stop every 240 kilometers or every 2 hours? 2.5 hours? Maybe 3 hours. I don't remember how many hours, but when you're driving highways, the kilometers come first. I know that much. I should double check that just in case I'm in the city. It's rare that I go that far anyway before I need a stretch break or a restroom or some food or some reason to stop. Usually, every now and then though, especially in the prairies, you gotta watch those numbers. So I've just made it a habit. I'm always looking at those numbers every day. Every now and then I look at it and go, whoa, 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 I gotta stop 10 kilometers ago. But at least if I have it, I can keep an eye on it and know if I've gone over. Hopefully I catch it before I've gone too far over. And that rarely happens. Very, very, very rarely. I can only remember 2 or 3 times. Definitely winter. Don't know what gave that away, but my boots are soaking wet. Soaked right through. So hopefully I can get them to dry out overnight. Put them right under the vent.
In 1.5 kilometers, take exit 399.
In fact, I should put them by a vent now, but I've got my gloves drying there right now. And I don't have to do any more loading or unloading today, so boots should be okay. If the roads stay like this, I'll be fine, but everybody's saying that Highway highways south are really, really, really bad. A lot of snow, so by the time I get to Paulson, it'll be completely dark outside, and anything that was wet will be black ice now. So I have to be careful today. Super, super careful. I'm going to lose this truck very quickly here. So I'm going to lose momentum quickly. Diff locks on, just in case. Doesn't look like it's slippery, but you want them on before you start sliding.
Continue on Highway 97.
You went all the way down to 7th gear, did you? Sure, you would have been fine in 8th gear, but okay. Skipped a couple of gears going down. Nice if I could make it to the destination tonight and untarp tonight, but I don't think I'll have enough time to do that. My day is spent at 25 kilometers an hour climbing hills in BC. Just part of the job. I rarely even think of it, but somebody commented about how painful it would be climbing up the mountain this slow and how unsafe. Yeah, it's pretty safe as long as you got your four-way flashers on. Most people pull over into the passing lane way ahead. I did my load secure, I also cleaned off the snow from my back bumper. My lights had completely disappeared. There was about 1.5 inches of snow packed onto the back. I had no lights or reflectors on the back. Whenever there's snow on the road, every single time you stop, you walk to the back and clear the lights. Almost to the top of the main part. I mean, there's more hill coming, but my water is so frozen solid that I took it out of the fridge. can't turn the fridge down any lower or else the freezer thaws out. I'll just deal with frozen solid water. I like cold water anyway. Thaws out pretty quick. It's nice and toasty in here. Socks are drying out. Brake check for downhill. Well, that's the hill I thought we would spin out on, but luckily it was warm enough that didn't have to worry about that. Let's turn the rear diff lock off. Some corners coming. Just keep the front one locked on. I don't need the truck to push straight when I come to a corner. Some trucks, with the way the ABS works, you only want to lock up one at a time. Apparently, I still don't understand why, but my truck's not one of those. If my new truck is one of those, I'm going to have to look into it. Why can you only lock up one axle at a time? So when you're climbing Paulson or Kootenai Pass, you want everything locked up. I'll turn the other one off because we're gaining a little bit of speed here. The faster we go, the more detrimental having an axle locked up could be for coming into a corner. Lots of grip up here. Yeah, my tarp is nice and snug now. So apparently there's 3 of us trucks with this exact same load going to Klesnikov with this lumber. It's interesting when one lumber mill orders lumber from another lumber mill. I don't know if they're just using this lumber and relabeling it and selling it, or if it is for a construction project on site. sometimes it's an issue with we promised the customer this much of this lumber, and unfortunately the fiber that's coming in, trees coming in, aren't the right size to make that lumber, and you got to quickly order it from a different lumber mill. Right, slowed down again. Nobody behind me, but turn them on anyway. Sometimes people catch up very fast. Well, that's one climb out of the way. One climb I didn't have to chain up at. Got a climb out of Vernon. Got another climb out of Kelowna on Highway 33 up towards Big White. And then we've got a climb over the Eholt and then the Paulson. So 4 more of these to do. The last one is the biggest one. Did I mention it's beautiful out here? Got a pretty sweet job, don't I? And I think I like changing seasons. I love when winter comes in. I love when spring comes in, summer, fall. I just like change. You see something new. Driving down the same roads and all of a sudden the roads are completely different because of the weather. I don't know what the suggested speed is for this corner. Maybe a 60? Well, we have to think about the signs we saw. We saw the turn sign up ahead, which means 10 kilometers below the speed limit. We saw an actual posted suggested speed limit, which means it's at least 20 kilometers below the speed limit, and we saw slow before it, so we know it's at least 30 kilometers below the speed limit. Since the speed limit is 90, we know for a fact that that was a 60 or lower. Well, in fact, most of the time. That's how BC road signs work. One diamond. You just see one diamond off in the distance, slow down 10 kilometers. If you see a diamond with a little square underneath it, slow down 20 kilometers. If you see a diamond and then another diamond with a square underneath it after it, basically the slow diamond and then the diamond with a suggested speed on it, it's going to be at least 30, if not more, below the speed limit. So I don't need to be able to read the sign to know that was at least a 60 or lower. I saw the curve at the top of the 6, so I know it was a 60, but here we just see a single diamond, so 10 below the speed limit. And if you're in a car, you don't have to go follow those suggested speeds unless the weather is bad. Those suggested speeds are just that. They're suggested speeds. You can go much quicker in a car if the weather is good. In a big rig, loaded top heavy right to the top, yeah, you want to hit all those suggested speeds. If you're empty, yeah, technically you could go over those, but our policy is we hit the suggested speeds no matter what. And I'm okay with that. I like safety. It's getting dark already, huh? Well, hopefully I make it at least over the Vernon climb and out of the Kelowna climb into Big White. Hopefully I make it at least there before the roads start freezing. That way I just have to deal with Eholt and Paulson on slippery, icy roads. Hopefully I can deal with that. Eholt is not a very steep pass. I've never had to chain up over Eholt. Now, having said that, I have had chains on just because I hadn't taken them off yet. I went over the Paulson and it was just so much snow everywhere, and then it's like you get down into Grand Forks and there's still so much snow everywhere, you just leave the chains on. It's one of those days. Just kept your chains on. But I've never spun out on the Eholt. It's been close. I've had some close calls coming out of Grand Forks, but so if we can make it up Big White before everything freezes up, I'm confident I will only have to chain up once today, and that'll be on the Paulson. If at all. Maybe I'll get lucky, don't have to chain up there as well. Well guys, hopefully you enjoyed the roads. See you guys tomorrow. What is tomorrow? Last day of the year? Last day of the year tomorrow. Nice. Years move so fast. Anyway, really appreciate you guys subscribing. Hit that thumbs up. You guys rock. And ask lots of questions. Lots of questions. Lots of questions.